Okay, everybody. So everybody know me. I don't have to say my name, right? But I would like to say that I appreciate each and every one of you coming out for this learning event. And the reason for this is to advance what I call an elevated approach to martial arts training. You know, not elevation on the physical level, but elevation on the mental and spiritual level. Because I've thought about a lot of things, and I think there's a lot of things we can do to advance this art, especially when all of us are role models, whether we want to be or not, you know, when we're teaching people. So, especially all my students, all my black belts, and all my friends, and I've known the Hanshi Colburn for many years. I mean, some of you was with us back then, Sensei Richard, we used to go to the school and spar with the students, and you know, we used to have a lot of fun. And I have my crew of disciples. I can't call them students any longer because they've proven to be more than that. So back in the old days, when an instructor, he was trying to find someone that was worthy of his knowledge, he wasn't looking for a student, he was looking for a disciple, a dishi. Somebody was going to carry that on. Okay? So I'm in that same mindset. Okay? Same mindset. Come on, Kiyoshi. I'm sure everybody knows Kiyoshi, Land Master. Been around a long time. You see, and he's always been supported. You know, he holds the free tournament every year, always trying to do something for the community. And I think he's a good example of giving back once you learn this, you know. And also who does a lot of community things too. Sensei Clay, come up. If you go in the Liberty City area, around Edison, you'll find Sensei Clay. He's been there for years. Every now and then I get a chance to swing through. He's always dealing with the kids. You know, so that's what martial arts teaching should do. Once you get taught, you should find a way to give back. And I just want to say that because I don't think we should be trying to keep martial arts like a secret, you know, even if you are a Mason. Whatever you are, you know, I don't think we should be going out of our way to keep secrets. We should be trying to do something to spread this art so that they can help other people. And in the words of Jigoro Kano, the judo master, he said, no matter what you learn, if your skills doesn't do anything to benefit society, you're wasting your time. I'm serious. So what we're getting, we don't have a lot of people walking around and been in this art as long as we have. Most people in here, what we call the Udansha, Dan holders, black belts. And that should mean more than just something physical. Okay? Should be more than something physical. And we have Sensei Sister here today. Come back to you. Yes, you know. It's a long time, you see. And I've seen her off and on, but I don't want to say her name wrong. Tell me your name.
Brenda Powell.
Brenda. Okay. So they've been doing this for years and years. Okay. So we have females, we have males, and we have a whole bunch of people, man, that's been doing things with this art. So I just wanted to say that I'm glad you're here. And we did send out a flyer to other people to come. But I look at it this way, the only people that's going to get this is those who deserve it. You see, that's it. Because if anybody's end up being confined by their own instructors or their own system, then That's not freedom. That's not liberation. You know. And one time I asked the brother, I said, well, you want to work? And brother tell him, he said, man, I'm a traditionalist. So, okay. So what does that really mean? Well, you don't do things the old way. Okay, there's nothing wrong with tradition, but sometimes innovation is better. If you stick with tradition that was going on in the 15th century and you in the 21st century, I think you may have some problems. Because you're going to find that there are not going to be people coming at you with a spear or shooting a bow and arrow at you. You understand me? It's going to be quite different nowadays. So you need to stop worrying about trying to practice for that and start to figure out how you can dodge those bullets. Right now, they don't have a problem with guns in China. They have a problem with knives. You see? So everybody carrying a knife. In the Philippines, it's like that too. Sticks and knives, weapons. So whatever your philosophy is, you got to make sure that it's cohesive with what's going on today. If not, then you just a traditional fool, in my estimation. Escape! Escape!
Yes!
All right. Everybody have a seat, please. We have Mona here. She's going to be taping, and I just want to see her. That's it. Our first session is dealing with philosophy, and we're going to have some feedback because I think that's the most important part of it. You get to hear other people and what they think, what they see. On that first sheet, there's a picture of Dr. Moses Powell and myself. And I had an opportunity to interview him one day. So back in the 90s, I did a lot of writing for the Karate Voice newspaper. And like I said, I was blessed to sit him down a couple of times and he just talked to me. And it was really great. One time I got him to spend the night. So we stayed up a long time just talking and talking. And I found that very enlightening, you know. Now, my very first instructor was Grandmaster Herbie Thompson. He used to go to Luke. For the first 10 years, I trained under the Goju system, Goju Luke. Okay. In the early 80s, I started training with Dr. Moses Powell. And when I did that, it started a lot of friction because the Nisei people looked at me as a traitor. They said, well, you go over there, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I was trying to get them to understand I wasn't leaving Nisei. I was just going somewhere else to get some more knowledge. You know? And when I got back down to it, both systems complemented one another.
Yes.
Both of them. You know, so there's no problem there. You know, some of the same principles both systems had. But when we become so brainwashed, we think that our particular system is the best system. It's like asking me at night, which one of those stars you think is the brightest? And I would probably tell you, I said, I don't think it really makes a difference because all of them bringing that light. All of them. Now, if you just want to pick the brightest star, then we can talk about that. But every martial arts system is like a shining star. You know, it all depends on what you get out of it. Each individual. So we're going to start with this, and we don't want to take too long, so we can just keep the flow going. This article was entitled Dr. Moses Powell, the Man, the Legend. And as I read it and I stop at certain points, anybody can be acknowledged at any time if they had something to add to it, because there's certain things that he said that really awakening some thoughts in me, and I wanted to share that with people. On November 12,000, a Jiu-Jitsu self-defense seminar was held at the Shaolin Kung Fu Academy in Miami, Florida. The host for that day was Sifu John Venegas, owner and operator of the academy. I, among others, were truly blessed to stand in the midst of one of the world's greatest jiu-jitsu instructors, Dr. Moses Powell. Prior to the seminar, I had the honor of interviewing Dr. Powell and gaining insight into his thoughts and feelings about the martial arts and life in general. Dr. Powell was born in Norfolk, Virginia on January 13, 1941, and raised in Brooklyn, New York. His first experience with the martial arts came by way of a Korean merchant marine. I asked Dr. Powell who taught him jiu-jitsu. Excuse me. So his first experience with martial arts came by way of a Korean merchant marine. Okay. And I'd like to stop right there because in reference to Grandmaster Herbert Thompson, I asked him one day, I said, well, Sensei, where did you learn how to do all that sweeping? From a Korean. I said, oh, yeah. And so then when this popped up, he's a Korean. So obviously, the Asian art had a great influence, over a lot of systems. Okay, so we had Dr. Powell, who taught him jiu-jitsu, and he responded by saying, I learned jiu-jitsu from the late Master V. May he rest in peace. Master V trained under Professor Okasaki. Dr. Powell further stated that although he learned a lot from Master V, most of what he teaches did not actually come from Master V. Dr. Powell, I was with him for over 20 years, but much of what I teach is the result of inspiration or divine wisdom. For instance, Sanukis is not a word that you will find in the dictionary. It is a word that came to me through a dream. And a lot of people in Sanukis don't even know that. My own definition of Sanukis is simplicity and survival. It is a system that I founded in 1959, and it was also sanctioned by my own instructor, Master V. So this is a bit of history. When I asked Dr. Powell what the greatest lesson he received from his teacher, he said, humility. He further stated that Master V was a humble man. He was not self-serving or egotistical. He was for real. Dr. Powell expanded on his answer by saying, the main characteristics of a true teacher is honesty. Next comes strong basics, history and dedication to the arts. He said, honesty. Next comes strong basics, history and dedication. So the honesty is important because that falls under the heading of integrity. History is important because we need to know what was going on before this knowledge came to us. So the history is very important. Basics important. Learning how to do a technique over and over again, and like I said, that repetition is the mother of learning. So if you're going to get bored with doing a lot of Seikenzukis or a lot of make-gary, front kick, yoga get side get around, if you're going to get tired of doing that 1,000 times, this is not for you. Because back in the day, your basics, that's what kept you going. You always went over that, your basic training. Okay? So Dr. Powell went on to tell me that many instructors are not honest or for real with themselves or their students. And many of them are not educating but miseducating the students. Dr. Powell concluded his answer by saying, Master B was a great teacher with a great spirit and that the world lost a great human being. I questioned Dr. Powell about the source of his knowledge concerning pressure points and nerve striking. He mentioned the name of Mr. Chi Wong and his PI nerve striking system. Dr. Powell also studied Goshindo, karate, under Ernest Mitchell, and judo under his role model, Elliot Farrell. So Sanukis is basically an amalgamation of different systems. And I'm saying that to say this. I heard one brother say one day, oh, this is pure Sanukis. And I just looked at him. And then I heard somebody else say the same thing again. They must have been listening to him. I said, pure Sanukis. And so when the other brother said that, I said, let me say something to you. Do you think there's any martial art that hasn't been influenced by another one, another system? I said, if you read anything concerning the judicial systems, many of them took many of their techniques from other systems and even other weapon systems, you know, to form their own system. So a lot of things we think about the Japanese, you know, oh man, our Japanese artists, you know, but they try to leave out the fact that the Japanese were influenced by the Chinese. The Chinese are great artists. But if we don't study history, we won't know that. It doesn't matter what I study, because if you don't study, then you may not know what I know. If I don't study, I may not know what you know. That's why I tell everybody, every serious martial artist should have their own library. You should have your own library, because you're going to come up on so much information, man, to make your head swim. And then when you get that information, you bring it back to your students. That's what helps your students grow. Your education, again, is not for you alone. If you have children, you need an education so that you can help your children become better educated. Because a lot of parents can't read. So they can't help the child to learn how to read. He never sees you reading. You go, so, hey, what's reading, man? I must be born. Okay? So we have to understand whatever we take upon ourselves to do to better ourselves, that we can use that to help somebody else. Okay? So Dr. Powell said, but nobody will understand that, but people have understand it. So I can't say that, okay, I got $1,000 in my pocket, I made this. I take all the credit for the $1,000. But I can't take credit for the $1,000 because the $1,000 came from somewhere. It didn't come from me. You see? The air that I breathe don't come from me. So why would I go around saying I'm my own man? They bet you didn't create you. But that's a philosophy a lot of people use. I'm my own man. This is my life. Is this really your life? Or is there some real purpose behind your life? What should you be doing with your life? But if you don't know, you just be another fool walking the earth. You see? So we have to always give thanks to a higher power, no matter what we do. You see? Many years ago, there was a man named Ted Valrat, and he was a martial artist, and he ended up in a wheelchair. He didn't stop him from practicing martial arts, because every time you looked up, he was in the magazine taking his wheelchair apart, doing some stuff. But he still had his spirit. That's right. That didn't go. Still had his spirit. Okay, we're coming to the end. Whatever success we gain is from the Creator of us all. A true martial artist will never forget that. He or she will always strive to overcome their own personal weaknesses. The greatest battle is not with others, but with self. We must overcome our own shortcomings. You see? So the greatness that we have or that we seek is not something that comes from out here, it's something that comes from within here. It comes from within us. We got to get in touch with ourselves. You see? We got to get in touch with who we really are. And not let other people tell us who we are. Because if we listen to other people like that, they're going to lead us down the wrong road. You see? Just like the young brothers getting into gangs and stuff nowadays. They're just trying to get involved in something where somebody can show them some love. But it's going to come a time when they're going to find out when they end up going to jail. Gangs, they don't write your letters when you're in jail. Your gang member ain't going to write a letter. You're not going to say, hey, brother, how you doing? I've been thinking about you. You're going to find out most of them can't even read or write. That's what you're going to find out. Okay? So 2 days later, after a wonderful and quite enlightening seminar, I gave Dr. Powell a call at his home. I asked him about some of the achievements as a martial artist. Dr. Powell has toured the United States and other countries teaching and establishing schools. He is the first martial artist to perform in the United Nations and the only martial artist to receive the International Benny Award in 1972 for his community service and expertise. Among many of his awards and special recognition, there is one that stands out the most the most. His induction into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 1977 in New York City. I asked Dr. Powell what he considered to be his greatest achievement in life. He said, the love of family, first of all, and the genuine love and concern of people in general. I also asked him to describe himself as a human being. Spiritual and compassionate are words I would use to describe my nature. Spiritual and compassionate. That should be what we all should use to describe our nature. Spiritual and compassionate. I think we're all spiritual warriors. You see, and you don't hurt people just for the sake of hurting people, but we know that violence is a part of nature. You know, I say there's negative violence and there's positive violence. Sometimes positive violence is needed to put down negative violence. And if one people don't deal with that, then there'll be some people taking over the whole earth with unnecessary violence. So we have to look at life the way it really should be looked at, okay? Do we have any comments, anything concerning this particular article? Or anything I've just said?
He says the spiritual nature, it appeared to me from his article that Dr. Powell was saying that the spiritual aspects of the arts are the true essence of the art, not just the punching and kicking.
Not just the punching and kicking, brother. It's not just that. You look at Lao Tzu. You look at the creator of the Aikido system, Mordechai Ueshiba. He was also a spiritual person. He said there was nothing wrong with self-defense. He just didn't want to defend himself against somebody and hurt them. So he wanted to just throw him over here, throw him over there. Jigoro Kano, his idea was saying, listen, get education. There's nothing greater than education. One virtuous person can teach something that you can pass on to many generations. Again, in Funakoshi, the father karate, he said, it's not about winning or losing. It's about building character. You see? So the best person is not the person who's able to do the best kata or use the first place, win the first place trophy in the tournament. The best player, the person is the person who has the best character. The best character. And that's what we should teach our students. Because right now, a lot of our students, they got their mind so set on sport and play, on trophies, until they're not thinking about anything else. Say, look, it's okay to win a trophy. It's a means to an end, not an end in itself. So we got to be putting that information into their heads, into their parents' heads. Because a lot of times the parents, they're out in the dark. We think we need to talk to the kids. No, we need to talk to the parents. Because as I told you before, coming up in my neighborhood, it was easy to hear somebody say, what? Get your black self over here. I'll knock all the black off you. Get your nappy head self down that curve. And then later on you think about that, say, man, what's wrong with my hair? What's wrong with my skin color? But the parents didn't know they were still victims of that racism that had been poured in us. And we still do the same thing now, that we still call each other, hey, what's up, my nigga? Nah, that's a term of endearment. Where did that come from? You say, hell, man, don't mean nothing. Oh, brother, it means something. It means that you out the loop. So we need to teach our kids, and we need to teach ourselves. It ain't no joke. So we need to sit down and study and try to learn things about what's really going on, man, so that we can continue to grow ourselves. Because again, I tell you, there are no grown people. We're all growing. We should be. And we're evolving one way or the other. And just because you're evolving don't mean that you're actually advancing. You could be evolving in an empty space. Or you just, you living, you're getting old, but your knowledge is not growing. Your wisdom is not growing. Okay? So that's important. So I'm going to cut that there. And I say I appreciate everything and everybody putting those ears there, listening to what's being said. And just think about it. Okay? There's more on this paper, but we're not dealing with what's on the next sheet or the next sheet. Right now we're going to get some warm-ups and get ready to get on into it. Thank you.